I worked mostly in care facilities and private homes with people that had Alzheimer's or dementia. I also worked in a psychiatric hospital, which I will touch on in a later video. Working with or around people that have Alzheimer's disease, dementia, or any other intellectual disability requires a lot of patience and understanding. Remember, you are entering their world, and their perception of everything is very different than yours. When working with residents, one rule is not to ever use the person's name if you were talking or if their name came up in a conversation. The one elderly gentleman, he was really comical. I'd come in the morning. So, how are you doing today? He'd take one step forward and then he'd go one step back. Well, that's about all I've done today, he says. He had the most unusual sayings that I had ever heard of. One morning I come in and I could hear him just cursing a blue streak in the bathroom. Now, this man never would swear, but he sure was swearing that day. I went towards the bathroom and I called his name. And I said, "What's wrong?" Well, I'm telling you, the difference on his face, it was like somebody wiped off his expression and put a big smile on his face. It was a difference between night and day. He looked at me and he said, "If you see a pair of teeth walking around here, they belong to me. You tell them to get back here." Yeah, okay. So anyways, a lot of it was fun, but some of it was very sad. With dementia, it depends on the person themselves. Like, if something happens that's quite different, it will throw them into total confusion. And the gentleman that I was looking after at this time, he knew a certain amount, but a lot of it he had forgotten. There was 2 great big cottonwoods that were in front of his picture window, and they had to cut one of the trees down. I'm not sure what was wrong, but they had to cut one down. So one day I went over to his place, and he's kind of just walking back and forth. And then he looks at me, he said, "Am I in jail?" I said, "No." I said, "Why would you think that?" "Well, it's a pretty nice jail if I am in jail." I said, No, you're not in jail." He says, "Well, I don't recognize this place." I said, "This is your home." "Well, why don't I recognize anything in here?" So we walked around, and then I went to his dresser and I picked up one of the pictures that sat on his dresser. And I said, "Do you recognize this lady?" "No," he says. So then I took another picture. And I said, "What about this one?" He looked. "Yeah," he said, "but she's been gone a long time." I said, "Who is she?" And he said, "That was my wife, Edith." Well, I said, "Okay, let's look at something else and see if you remember something else." So I showed him a couple of different things that were on the wall, and memory did start coming back. But because of that different view from his picture window, it just threw him into confusion. My daughter and I used to tell her different stories of what happened. She worked at a restaurant. I'm on my day off, and she phones me, and she says, "Mom, I think that guy that you work with, I think he's here at the restaurant." I said, "No, it can't be. I can't see him going all the way there." She said, "Well, I think it is." I said, "What makes you think that?" She said, "Well, he come and he sat down, and I went to take his order, and I said, 'What can I get you?' And he said, 'I am so hungry, I haven't eaten all day.'" And that was one of his favorite sayings. So anyways, I said to my daughter, I said, Okay, I said, I'll be down. I went down to the restaurant, which was about 2 blocks from where he lived. And I walked in, and sure enough, it was Jim. And I stopped at his booth and I said to him, Jim, it's good to see you getting out. He looked at me and he said, do you know me? I said, yes, I do. Oh, well, do you know where I live? I said, yes, I do. Well, good, he says, because I don't know how I got here and I don't know how to get home. So I told him, I said, no problem. I said, you have your meal, and I said, I'll take you home after. Okay, he says. So he had maybe 2, 3 forkfuls, and he said, I'm full. So I told my daughter, I said, well, just box it up. We'll take it home. Well, he looked at me with such astonishment. He said, you wouldn't embarrass me like that. And I just kind of winked at my daughter. I said, no. I says, we won't take it home. But she did box it up, and we took it home to his place. And the girl that was relieving me that day, she was going to be there within about 15 minutes. So I just left it on the counter with a note saying what happened. And the next day when I relieved her, I asked her about it, and I said, so what did he say when you come in? Oh, good. I am so hungry. I haven't eaten all day. So he had forgot all about his escapade. But like I said, it was funny, but then it was sad too, because when he had walked over to the restaurant, it was in the spring and there was still ice on the ground, and he didn't even take a jacket. He had a sweater on. He forgot his cane completely, because I asked him, I said, where is your cane? Well, I don't know. He says, I think it must have left me and walked away. He, like I said, he had some funny sayings.